So yesterday was about how to practice, combining theory and practice. And this is an explanation of the teaching of the Buddha, and in the manner of Mahasi Sayadaw, how he explained it, and how U Pandita also explains this in this way of combining theory with practice, so that the yogis would be able to concentrate their minds within a short period of time, and come to be able to see mind and matter, to see how they occur as cause and effect, and to see how knowledge develops, and eventually one realizes special Dhamma. So knowing this task is extremely important and gives a guarantee. Speaking about this is so that the yogis will have faith in it, and with faith there will be the desire to gain the results. And with that desire awakened, then the yogis will actually do the work. So this is one of the things that the guide, the teacher, has to do, is to spark the yogis' faith and desire and get them to the point where they are actually going to do the work. And also, the teacher needs to discuss the yogi's experience, not just examine it, or cross-examine it may feel like, but not just to examine the experience, but the person who's trying to guide the yogis needs to see, how is the yogi working? To see if they're working in the way that is instructed or not. And if something is not straight, then the teacher has to straighten it. If something needs to be put upright, it needs to be put upright. And if something is lacking, it needs to be filled up, so that the yogis don't go the wrong way. And these things are all that the teacher can do. That's everything the teacher can do. So yesterday I spoke in detail, giving a clear example of what happens what is involved in going from the standing position to sitting down, and how we need to observe it at that time. If we do it quickly, then we're not going to know anything at all at that moment. But if we do it with observation, as we sit down inch by inch, then one will be able to see clearly the true nature that occurs stage by stage at that time. So one has to apply the mind. There needs to be application of mental energy, and one has to aim. So the mind shouldn't run anywhere else. It shouldn't go anywhere else. And we have to use ardent effort so that the mind reaches this sitting down process that occurs segment by segment, so that the mind gets there. And we also have to focus, aim the mind, so that the mind reaches what is happening there. So the mind is, here the sitting down is what the mind has to get to it and reach it. So there needs to be the jhanic quality of jhana, or absorption, which comes from aiming, has to be present. So it's very important for these factors to be it's very important for these factors to be present each moment of the time, without a gap. The factors of effort and aiming. So if we work so that there is aiming and effort each moment of the time, as was said yesterday, form, manner, true nature, we should understand these three. If we work in this way, when the mind falls on the form, the shape of the body, it will stay there and it won't go anywhere else. If the mind falls on the process of sitting down, the act of sitting down, the manner, then it will know that it will be there and it won't go anywhere else. So even before knowledge arises, if the mind is reaching either the shape of the body or the manner, the way that it's sitting down, one has to say that this yogi is pretty good. When this mind occurs, one after another, continuously, one is sure to come to know true nature, or sabhava. For the most part, one starts with knowing rupa, or matter. One knows the quality. When one sits down, there's the feeling of support, or, there's like, it's stiff, you can say. Or there's stretching, or there's heaviness. So one comes to know these qualities. Later, after that, one comes to know qualities like heat. After that, one comes to know qualities such as discomfort, which is Vedana. So one comes to know these things, and this is personal experience. One has to go beyond the form, the shape, and the manner to see the nature which is really there. One can't say that this does not exist. One can't say that if one's mind falls on this feeling of stiffness or support, that this support or stiffness is not there. It is really there. One can't say that if one's mind falls on stretching, the sense of stretching, that this stretching is not there. One can't say that if the mind falls on the quality of heaviness, and one knows the heaviness, that this isn't there. One knows this, and knowing this is not incorrect. When the mind falls on discomfort and knows discomfort, this is not incorrect. This is knowing correctly. So among the Four Noble Truths, one has come to know the truth of suffering on the grossest level. So when one knows like this, when there is virya, sati, and samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration, and this is samatha. Samatha is occurring at this time, and the mind is clean, and one experiences this. If one works carelessly, then this virya, sati, and samadhi, energy, mindfulness, and concentration, the qualities which make the mind stable, will be lost in that moment. So if one doesn't note or observe at all, then the mind is just wandering aimlessly. If one notes, but carelessly, if the mind doesn't even reach the physical action, nor the form, the shape, then there's no meaning to what one is doing. It's just a waste of one's time. The mind is just wasting time, not using it at all. So if the yogi works like that, so that their mind doesn't even fall on the physical form or the action performed, that is, if one is not observing at all or observing carelessly, then it doesn't matter how long one stays and practices. It won't make any difference. One has to observe at one of the three levels at which things can be seen. One has to try to get the mind to reach the form, further to reach the manner, further, and from there one can, if one keeps on going, one will be sure to see the true nature. So aiming and effort is important to be applied. And when we make the investment in coming here, we should make sure that we get benefit from it and apply effort and aiming all the time. So at least, although we've given up something to come here, we can gain something from our practice if we do that. So in order to make our time here worthwhile, to make it worthwhile giving up whatever we gave up to come here, we simply need to understand the benefits of doing this work and value them, place a value on them. So please work carefully, and this is my responsibility to urge you in this way, to work meticulously. And it's said that we need to work at the practice with respect, meticulous care, and continuity. So this is what I'm urging you to do. So to get samatha, that is samadhi, or collectedness of mind, and from there to know true nature, starting with the discernment of nama and rupa, or mind and matter, one has to work at the practice with respect and meticulously and continuously. So to create this attitude, I want to explain some examples that are in the text that show what this means. So when we travel through the hills, forests, through the mountains, sometimes there will be a ravine or a gorge between two mountains. And over that, there will be a small footbridge that goes from one side to the other. It's called in Pali Ekapadika Setu, and that means a little bridge that is just wide enough to put one foot down at a time. So when we have to walk across that type of bridge, footbridge that is only wide enough for us to put down 1 foot at a time, then one has to be especially careful. One has to walk slowly and carefully. One has to also look carefully. One can't look carefully but walk quickly. If one walks quickly over that little bridge, then one will fall in a short time. So one has to go slowly. But if one walks slowly, yet does not pay attention to where one is putting one's foot down, whether one is putting it down on the bridge or not, then again, one can't walk in that way. One has to walk not only slowly, but one has to watch carefully. And only then will one be able to get across to the other side safely. We can neither walk quickly nor walk without paying attention. So, and we also cannot walk slowly but pay no attention. We have to both walk carefully and slowly and watch carefully to reach the other side. So, in this regard, people who think that knowledge only comes from thinking or reflecting need to be careful. Because one should think about this. You know, when you are crossing this little tiny bridge, the most important thing, the totally important thing, is to walk carefully, slowly, and watch where you're going. So do you want to try walking across this little tiny footbridge just by thinking about it? So if you don't actually go step by step, you're going to fall off the bridge quickly. So one can't fantasize as one walks across the narrow bridge. One has to actually walk slowly. And one also has to observe carefully, meticulously, so that one is aware of each step. So in sum, walk slowly, look carefully. So what are we supposed to watch? Okay, from the moment we wake up in the morning until the moment of falling asleep. The yogis, whether they're walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, their mind should be on this basic posture of the body. This is the large size. These are the major postures the body is in. And within these, there are minor movements that are happening. The limbs may be bending or stretching. There may be leaning, the torso may be leaning, the head could be tilting. There could be blinking, opening, closing the eyes, lifting, moving, and placing. So in one's body, each in its own time, these minor postures are occurring. So, as these postures are occurring, these major and minor postures, mind and matter is occurring in this. And this mind and matter in Pali, nama and rupa, these are related as cause and effect. This is how they occur. And to know what should be known, one needs to work respectfully and carefully. So at such a time, one has to put aside one's accumulated knowledge. Whatever one has learned, one has to put that aside. And one should not reflect. So we have to be very careful about this. The yogi needs to put the mind 100% on the task of observation. So as when walking this narrow footbridge, the mind has to be fully upon what one is doing. So too, with the practice, one's mind has to be fully on observation. So please do it carefully, and immediate benefits are sure to come. Another way to look at it is as if we have to move a bowl that is full to the brim with oil from one place to another. So if we have a bowl that is full to the brim with oil, then we have to hold it, paying very careful attention. We have to hold it gently, and we have to be careful to keep it balanced, evenly balanced, and to move it gently so that it doesn't tilt. So if one doesn't move it in that very careful way, but moves it quickly, then the bowl will tilt and the oil will spill. So one should keep this in mind, that we need to do this type of careful practice. So look at yourself to see if the way you practice is like this. And if it's not, then you just have to work to build this up. You have to develop this type of care. So it comes from making the effort to practice in this way. In the act of sitting down, mind and matter, the body is full of mind and matter. And if we do this act carelessly, then just like the oil will spill out of the bowl, so too, or when crossing the narrow footbridge, if we don't pay close attention, just like we're sure to fall off, so too one will miss what is happening at that moment. As I mentioned yesterday, fewer than one although we all know the shape of the body and we all know what sitting down is, only less than 1% of people know what actually happens at that moment. So if we miss what happens at that moment, then this is called negligence, or pamada in Pali. And it is said that negligence is the road to death. So it gets us immediately. But if on the other hand we don't forget, if we're vigilant and diligent in applying mindfulness, then we won't die. So it's very important to remember this. So in order to apply full energy of the mind to the voluntary actions we make, like bending, stretching, leaning, tilting the head, lifting, moving, placing, one has to do these actions slowly. But when we're involved in things that involve other people, when we're together with others, we can't do it like that. So when we're in line for food, when we're taking food, when we're washing the dishes, we have to go at normal speed because other people are affected by how slowly we move. When we are eating the food, that is our own time, and we can take our time and eat as slowly and as mindfully as time allows. So we can do things carefully and meticulously. So try this for yourself, and you will see the benefits. You'll see that it's beneficial to do it. One can't do things lightly. Some of the things that I mentioned at the close of the talk yesterday is that faith is involved. There's the power of faith in the practice. There's the power of the energy of desire, chanda, the desire to know what is really there, the desire to distance the mental defilements, the kilesas. There's application of mental energy, and there's aiming. And if these are present, there's no need to do anything special. When these are present, it's automatic. Sati, that is mindfulness, samadhi, concentration, effort, all these will come naturally. Sati, samadhi, panya. All these knowledge, these will all come naturally. Okay, I'd like to say probably about 2 more things, or maybe all I have time for. One is, when we do walking meditation, the main action is the legs. And by watching the movement of the legs, although it's the body that is going bit by bit, the action, the main action is performed in the legs. And doing this walking meditation, whether it's left step, right step, when we increase the number of objects and observe lifting, moving, placing, when we increase further and observe if we observe just 2 parts, lifting and placing, and then when we go further, lifting, moving, placing, this develops both mental energy and physical energy. And it's very important to have enough energy for the practice, because if one only develops samadhi, the samadhi will be excessive. Effort and concentration must be balanced. So the walking meditation, we should do enough walking meditation. So that's why the schedule is set for sitting 1 hour and walking 1 hour. And when people do sitting that is longer than an hour, they should walk longer. They should never walk less than an hour after a long sitting. You have to understand that both concentration and effort are needed, and these 2 factors need to be in balance. If they're not in balance, the practice doesn't go forward. It's like horses. When you have 2 horses that are pulling something, if one is stronger than the other, they're not going to go forward. It's hard to drive the carriage like that. And sati is like your driver. So please get your horses evenly balanced. So the factors that have been talked about, faith, then chanda, sati, samadhi. I mentioned previously that these are the companions of wisdom. Wisdom occurs together with these companions, and samadhi is the nearest cause. Without samadhi, wisdom doesn't arise. So I hope the yogis will, with faith in the practice, coming from understanding what the benefits are, and with the desire to get the results that come when the practice is applied, will make the effort, aim the mind, and everything will happen naturally from that point. So I hope the yogis will be able to apply the practice and gain the peace and happiness that can be gained in a very short time. That's all for today.